and welcome back to another live witches chat. So we're not just going to be talking about Rosemary here, but we are going to be addressing the conversation that's been happening a lot. Um, okay, sorry, necklaces distracted me. Anyways, hi, hello, I'm firelotusthewitch. If you haven't been here already, I've been doing this here on this platform for an entire year, almost an entire year. This is the first year. But I've been doing live witches chats for we're gonna round that out to about 5 years. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell icon. That way you get notified when I go live or post videos or anything like that. So this conversation has been going on. It's kind of resurfaced on the interwebs, which is Rosemary. Good morning. Rosemary, because of some author. Originally, I thought it was going to be Cunningham's, but it's not Cunningham, I don't believe. And if it is, I don't have the book. I am going to read the Rosemary section out of here. I also have something to show, and I want to have something to talk about. The website that I got, the soap and the two plant pop socket things, that's officially posted, and the link and everything is posted on the community page. It took me a minute to actually get the link. And then at some point in time, we're going to pull a random animal card to see what the universe wants to say to us today. So we're going to go to Scott Cunningham's book. By the way, if you can get your hands on this book, it's a great beginner's book, but do more research, and anything that's said in this book, cross-reference that with another book. And again, most of the things in here are magically applied, not physically applied. There are a couple of things in here I do not like. Anyways, Rosemary. Folk names, compass weed, dew of the sea, elf leaf, other words that I cannot fucking pronounce, polar plant, and sea dew. The gender behind it is masculine. It is the planet ruling it is sun, and it is an element of fire. Powers: protection, lust, love, mental powers, exorcisms, purification, healing, sleep, and youth. Speaking of that, why is nobody talking that you can use rosemary and rose petals as exorcisms, aka cleansing as well? Not to mention, just smelling rosemary actually helps improve the memory of your brain. So, there's that for you. Alright, so magical uses. Rosemary, when burned, emits power, cleansings, and purification vibrations, and so it is smoldered to rid places of negative energy, especially prior to performing magic. It is one of the oldest incense. When placed beneath the pillow, rosemary ensures good sleep and drives away nightmares. Laid under the bed, it protects the sleeper from all harm. Rosemary is also hung on the porch and doorposts to keep thieves from the house, and is carried to remain healthy. Placed in bath, it purifies. I have rosemary, a twig of rosemary hanging up where my witch's bell's at, and I just hung it up there for protection. I had no idea it helps keep thieves away. And hello, everybody! And same, I love the smell of rosemary. I love cooking with it. I love fresh rosemary. The farm that I used to live on when I was the farmhand, they had like a shrub. It wasn't even a bush. It was a shrub, rosemary. Oh my God, that's the one thing I missed about living on the farm, having like fresh herbs. I used to cook homemade spaghetti sauce using everything that was either canned or from scratch. Amazing. Anyways, okay. So, placed in bath, it purifies. A chaplet of rosemary worn aids in memory. And we recently just learned, literally, I think within I'll say 10 years, scientifically, there's evidence behind the smell of it actually helps with memory. While the wood smelled often preserves youthfulness, to ensure the later add a rosemary infusion to the bathwater. Interesting actual health fact with rosemary. If you have natural oily skin and or natural oily hair like I do, rosemary, or just boiling it on the stove and kind of doing a rinse with your hair and your skin, it can actually help balance out the oil glands in the hair and the skin to where it'll actually just produce oil like it's supposed to. Not to mention, rosemary is really, really great for skin, like it just said, and for the hair, it can also help with hair growth. Okay, so, rosemary has long been used in love and lust incense, often a mixture, and healing poppets are stuffed with rosemary to take advantage of the cervix vibrations. Rosemary infusion used in washing the hands before healing work, and leaves mixed with Jupiter berry are burned in sick rooms to promote healing. I did not know that. Regarding health and beauty, I have an acne oil that uses rosemary and roses. Yes, I don't have an oil, but I created, my ex named it Magical Piss because it's basically just a bunch of like fresh herbs brewed. Any acne you have though, clear that shit up. On top of that, look into calendrial flower. It's the yellow flower. I know I said that weird. It's known as the healing plant because that one flower, the oils of that flower, when come in contact with the skin, it actually heals. It speeds up the natural healing process that our bodies already have. On top of that, sugar can also be applied to wounds. Obviously, it needs to be cleaned out and everything. But sugar applied to wounds actually also speeds up the healing process. Vikings and other cultures also used to take baths in like beer because of the yeast and the sugar in it would actually speed up the healing process of the body. It's also good for memory. Traditionally, people would hold rosemary during a funeral or memory to help remember the dead. Oh, I did not know that. Oh my fucking god, I'm finally here, full live. I'm recovering for surgery. Hello, and I will definitely be sending you some healing energy. Okay, so we know it's been used. Okay, mixtures, and burned in sick rooms. If you wish to receive knowledge or the answer to a question, burn rosemary on a charcoal and smell its smoke. Rosemary is also grown to affect elves, and powdered leaves wrapped in linen cloth and bound to the right arm dispels depression and makes the emotional light and merry. Rosemary is generally used as a substitute for frankincense. But somehow, thanks to one fucking author and one quote, everybody is losing their shit because they believe that rosemary can be acted like some people say with clear quartz. I'm just sick of the ignorant children who don't want to actually learn. Same. Honestly, same. I've grown 3 rosemary bushes currently in a garden sage. Oh, that is awesome. But yeah, there's this conversation, and if you're on TikTok, you know that fucking, it's the definition of insanity because the same conversations keep coming up. And like, no matter what people hear, they argue with it. And this is where I'm going to throw the controversy into it. Also check quartz crystals can't replace other crystals either. Exactly. And see, with me, I believed it could, but I was never taught that it can replace them. What I was taught with quartz crystals is some people know it as a universal quartz for multiple reasons, but I was always taught that it can mimic other correspondences to the herbs. So, like say you needed 5 amethyst pieces, but you only have 4 and one clear quartz. I was always told that you can actually kind of sync them up, and it will mimic the other crystals around it. I still do that in my practice a lot, and like you said, an amplifier, I also use amethyst as an amplifier. Exactly, and people think that with rosemary. Now, the problem with this is it's kind of, people still do not understand, obviously not y'all, but witchcraft in and itself is still basically a UPG. It's a personal unverified experience, which means you're the only person experiencing it. And that's the problem that we're having right now. Amplify, though. Exactly. And it was due to one author. I thought this was the book, but it was another Wicca or pagan author who stated it, and now people ran with it. And to that I say yes and no. What I mean by this is a lot of people, they hyperfixate on the herbs in this book. Just the herbs in this book. Fun fact, most of the herbs in this book, they're not really native to America. What I mean by that is, instead of hyperfixing on herbs that are from all around the world, use what you have in your front yard. That's what witches and practitioners have done for hundreds of thousands of years, due to the fact of what? We didn't always have metaphysical or apothecaries and things like that. So you, like sage, there's clary, I think it's clary sage, that grows in most states here in the United States that have the same properties. If not, they have different properties. But you will get to a point in your practice, and this is where I lose people, where you yourself will be able to create your own correspondences. Not saying that it is always going to work, because witchcraft is basically spicy science mixed with alchemy of trial and error. And what I mean by this, eventually at one point, the people who created these correspondences, they didn't have correspondences at that point. So they literally walked up one day and was like, you know what? This, and this. Love. This, love. Like the Romans, the Greeks, all the other ancient cultures, they eventually associated with those herbs by the feelings of that. And if you've seen my energy exercise video, that's one of the ways that you can do that. Connect with a plant energetically and ask it, what can you help me with? What can you assist me with on a magical level? And I guarantee you the answers you'll get are fucking insane. Amethyst. I associate thunderstorms with amethyst. I actually only charge my amethyst during thunderstorms. And it was just because when I first connected with it energetically, that was what I saw. It was just like these storm clouds rolling in and flashes of lightning. Thus, bam. There's a limit to creating your own correspondences, but you still can at some point. You can't randomly decide if you're legit. Exactly. Like, you can't randomly do it, but over time you could. And like I said, this is why we tell people books of shadows. And instead of writing it all down, use your phone. Use a voice recording. Create a YouTube account and set it to private and start vlogging small little videos of your personal craft, and then go back and look at it. My Instagram, if you scroll far away down, that's originally what it was. It was just an online book of shadows or grimoire. But people get so caught up in having the right or wrong answer. And witchcraft, unless it's historical, you're not really going to have it. There's this huge discord right now about how people are working with their deities. What I believe that we're experiencing with deity work right now is a lot of people are escaping. They're using their deity work as escapism, as in how people play video games, how they read books to escape from their own reality. And in the process of that, I also believe that they are subconsciously projecting some of their issues that is going on in life into what it's like working with their deities, which at a baseline point, that's kind of how it is. But the problem is, and this is the issue with some of the free terms that we have, everything is an unverified personal experience. And what I mean by that is you can get an entire group, a coven together and work with the same deity. All together, they may experience in some ways the exact same experience, but at the end of the day, they're going to have different experiences. Why? Because we are so... the human body is so fucking weird, even on a spiritual level, because, like, we're the same, but at the exact same time, we're so uniquely different. It's like everybody's cell phone. We use cell phones so much now that our cell phones are literally an extension of us. What I mean by this is, you know how many times have you forgotten your phone, like, somewhere else, and you got up, but you randomly heard it ring, or you randomly felt it go off in your pocket, but it's not there. It's because we personalize it so much. The same things with that. You can never be sure if the color I see is red. Exactly. Thank you so much for saying that. Yes. And even with dream interpretation, I used to think that. I've been corrected with that. Dream interpretation can call you out, but exactly, that's why with people using color correspondences, we're not always going to have the same feelings. If I was in an accident thanks to a giant red truck when I was younger, my brain may associate fear or trauma with the color red. You, on the other hand, may associate red with love and passion. It's going to be different. But at the same time, people need to learn to be able to have a conversation to educate somebody, but at the same time, not necessarily invalidating their own practice. LOL scrolled 2 comments and I said the same thing. Oh, that's so cool. But, like, and it's so weird, too, because I've seen people, they're like, well, I'm not going to tell somebody what they can and cannot do with their deities. And then they hear that this person was playing Xbox and eating pizza with Loki. We're going to have those things. But the way that I see it is when it comes to deity work, and by the way, I'm addressing a lot of things in this video. As long as you're not putting out misinformation, you're not harming others, and you're not harming yourself, even in the mental aspect, I see nothing wrong with it. We're always going to have different experiences. If I had TikTok when I first started my practice, so many crazy things that happened to me, I could have been able to actually tell the universe. We're experiencing that now for the older witches, not age-wise, but just the people that have been practicing it. We're seeing a whole new generation, and yes, do I believe that certain people slightly make things up? Yes. You can't use X-colored candles for Y spell. Yes, I can, because I said so. I love that. I love that. Um, but like I've had a conversation with somebody. They use lavender in a hex because lavender is supposed to help with anxiety, but you can use that in a hex to actually trigger anxiety. Um, so like at the end of the day, that's the reason I slightly changed my content because I realized cutting somebody down or just saying they're crazy or something like that, it doesn't work. But I've done things in my practice that I've had so many people tell me it's not going to work. One of the first things that I've had people tell me, um, um, I've had multiple deity statues or images right next to each other. I've had a Bible on my altar before, and I had so many people tell me, well, those energies are not going to work together. Why? Because in your head, they're not going to work? Now, with that being said, and this is why witchcraft can be complicated sometimes, because there are guidelines, but there really aren't any rules depending on the practice you're doing. But that changes when it goes to older energy. I'm not necessarily talking about the gods, I'm also talking about the infernals. Certain things like that, which I classify more as high magic and more of an occultist definition of it, there are certain things that you can and cannot do when it comes to, or you should or should not do. Don't be rude. And if you want to collect gods and goddesses like they're fucking Pokemon, by all means, go ahead. I don't know how you're energetically dealing with all of that, or even having that many gods and goddesses around in your circle space. It would drive me crazy. But, you know, you do you at the end of the day. As long as you're not hurting anybody and as long as you're not making more misinformation being spread worldwide, you're not really harming the community. At the end of the day, we're all experiencing things differently. Shit, even in life, nobody is going to experience the same thing the exact same. There's a term for it when that moment that you realize each individual stranger that you meet has their entirely different storyline and lives. And that's what drives me crazy so much. Like you'll have people and they're like, "Oh, well for 9.99 or 99.99, I can access your Akasha records." Why the fuck would I need somebody else to access my own records? Now, I have a theory about that with connected consciousness, which you'll see on a TikTok shortly, that I'm going to stitch, which somebody asked. There's this guy who asked all these random questions. He's amazing, but he asked, he's like, so how come ghost hunters can go across the globe to like a 1,000-year-old monastery and these ghosts are talking in English? It's called connected consciousness and universal language. Um, there are classes on this at Cauldron Fest. Oh, really? I did not know that. Oh, that I love that. But I believe in the connected consciousness and the connected our universal language, which means when a spirit crosses over, they can kind of access the language that it takes to be able to, you know, talk to each other. Now I said this on a YouTube before, I mean on TikTok, and people took it the wrong way, which is I believe that certain spirits do lose some of the humanistic traits that we have, like the whole, well, my family is this long lineage of devout Catholics. For one, most people in Christianity, they're practicing witchcraft every day. It's just not called witchcraft. Even in Catholicism, same thing. I mean, they burn frankincense and myrrh right before they do their ceremonies. So in a way, everybody practices witchcraft. I did a video yesterday, and what's your definition of witchcraft? Because in folk practices, they didn't consider it magic. They didn't consider it witchcraft. They considered it a way of living, a way of getting by and daily. So with the argument where like, oh, well, I have 8 witches that have been in my bloodline. I'm a birth witch. Most other people are too, due to the fact that a lot of people practice folk magic of all around the world, not just like Southern Appalachia. So therefore, we all have practitioners in our family. It's just, again, like I've asked the question, well, I don't have any psychics and mediums in my family. Back then, the area of my family's from, they didn't consider it. They didn't use terms like that. They just considered it to be gifted or to have the sight. And that's why people need to start researching folk practices. If you're in the broom closet, folk practice would be the first way to go. That way you don't have to be associated with pentagrams and all these other symbols that people associate with witchcraft. I upset my hubby yesterday because he saw my Christian mom video, and I was like, do witches think that psychiatry is witchcraft? Yes, I love it. And it was so crazy when you posted that video, because I was literally just talking to somebody about nightmares. And that video popped up on my For You page. I was like, holy shit. Also with this, so I'm not showing this on TikTok just because I'm going to start doing this thing. So I had an amazing creator reach out to me. And if you're not already following this person, you seriously need to go watch some of their videos. You'll learn a lot. That is Conjure Cardia. Amazing, amazing practitioner. They have a YouTube page. They have a TikTok. Ironically, very, very ironically with this. So, as soon as she posted her first video on TikTok, popped up on my For You page. If you've listened to the episode where I interviewed Bloody Mary, I was the very first person and practitioner that she saw on TikTok when she actually signed into it and opened it. On top of that, I was one of the first people to announce to TikTok that Bloody Mary was on because I saw her video as well. I saw her first video. But also, they do community services like I do. Obviously, they've been doing this a hell of a lot longer than I have. But their website blew my fucking mind of all the things that they have on it, and a lot of them are priced very, very well. So one of these, and some practitioners would be like, why are you showing this? Because I have faith in my own magic. Can anybody tell me what this is? For anybody who can't, this is High John the Conquering Root. The biggest piece that I have to date. You want some research, some Lotus Hollow research or homework? Research High John the Conquering Root and the history behind it. I can't see it. It's blurry for me. Oh, no. Hold on. There we go. That is High John the Conquering Root. It's used in folk practices. It's also used in hoodoo, voodoo, and all the variants between those. It's also used in Southern Conjure. But I got a little package, and I wanted to show you 2 of the oils. I'm not going to tell you what the oils are, but I want to show you them. Because she makes these by hand. There's this one. And when I mean this is conjure oil, I mean this is conjure oil. As you can tell, there are bones, roots, crystals, a little evil eye in there. Like I said, she makes these by hand. They smell amazing. Like, this particular one I've smelt before, and I just don't know where I've smelt it. And then this one right here, as you can see. And like I said, all made from scratch. Makes it handmade. The amount of energy that came off. I also got a loose incense too, which smells phenomenon. But the amount of energy that rolled out of this, my partner felt it halfway across the house. And you're probably asking, well, why are you not going to show this on TikTok? If you've seen some of my unboxing videos, I don't always reveal things that I get. Like, this is one thing that I recently got. It's a bear claw. And yes, I use this in my practice. But yeah, I wanted y'all to, I wanted to shout them out. They've been on multiple different types of interviews as well on podcast. But they kind of do like I do. So glad you love the claw. Yes, I absolutely love it. I live right near the Tennessee line, and I'm always hearing the stories about Appalachia. Oh, I love it. Yeah, they do kind of what I do, which is the only time they charge people is for actual services. But they have so many videos already on their YouTube. They also go live on Instagram a lot. But if you want curios, curiosities, chicken feet, all things to do with witchcraft, Southern Conjure, Appalachian, voodoo, hoodoo, check out their website. And I'm not saying their name because I've been pronouncing their last name wrong. But yeah, and it is www.shopconjurecardia.com. Professional spiritual services and supplies. They even have a magical consultation to where if you need to get spell work from them, you kind of, via email, you can, like, explain your situation. But they were also remind me, the two of my all-time favorite YouTubers, them and Lady Gravedancer. Lady Gravedancer, if you haven't already, go subscribe to them. They have so many oils and recipes and other paranormal videos, so many other videos that you can learn from them. Believe it or not, those 2 people that I just said is kind of where I've learned a lot of my practice in Southern Conjure. And if you're still new here, Southern Conjure can be used are practiced by people like me and all different other shapes and sizes and colors. Just respect the history, honor all aspects of that history, and it'll open up a lot of doors. Trust me on that one. Oh, that was a big gulp. Um, but yeah, I wanted to show that. And if you do get a package or a box from somebody, don't always show everything you got. Don't always let the internet know what you have at your disposal. I am going to have to get me a bigger box of oils because I've become obsessed with using oils in my practice. And the original box that I had, it no longer fits. So I've got to redo that one. Also, Lady Grave Dancer, if you want to know how to make oils and stuff like that, Lady Grave Dancer. It's very simple. Another thing that you can add to those oils, look up the planetary hours and associate the planet with the oil that you're doing. And I love when you make oils. Some people already do this as well. There are a couple other people that I've got to shout out with some of the oils that I've recently got. But oils, depending on how they work, due to the fact that they have multiple different, we'll say, correspondences in them, they can also be used for multiple other things. So in other words, you can create one oil that has like 20 different purposes in it. Another great cheap company is, as in it's affordable, Art of Roots. You can find them on Amazon. They have their own website. I've used them. They're amazing. They also give you a brief description. Same with this one. When you go to their sites and you look up the oils and the incense, and they have so many things. They have like, I think it's 200 pages or like 100 pages of just all different types of products. Soaps, they make by hand. They have bone sets. They have like hollowed out candles of skulls and coffins, all different types of things. Go check them out. Not sponsored either. Y'all know me. I like sharing out businesses. Also, if you're on TikTok, there is another TikTok that I created, which is called Swamp Lotus. I think it's Swamp Lotus 1.0. Technically his character name is Cousin Lotus, but some people may find that offensive, so it's just Swamp Lotus. But that is where I've been doing a lot of my superstitions, signs, and lures and stuff like that. That's primarily what that's going to be. It's kind of going to be a whatever account. So yeah, so what I'm about to do is randomly shuffle these, and I'm going to draw 3 cards for the general. I'm still learning how to use these. Wow, these are a hell of a lot lighter than I thought they were. But I'm obsessed with these. I'm rainbow animals. I mean, why not? But yeah, there was something else I wanted to... Oh! Why I'm shuffling these? Let's have a talk. I've been drawn to Southern Conjure and Collective Witchcraft. The live right after this one, I actually go over all the books that I have on Southern Conjure, Appalachian Folk Magic. So that will definitely get you started in there. So let's talk about death magic and being a death witch. So for one, before I say this, my death witchery and my psychopumpness, all learned. I've not really actually got a book on death magic except for the bones and blood one, and that's not really death magic. But somebody said recently to somebody that I know that, well, you know, all Appalachia practitioners are death witches because they dig graves and stuff. No, that does not make you a death witch. I understand the term of it is very, very flashy and, like, new. There's a lot of things that come with being a death worker. I work with several death deities. See, that's another, not you, this is not directed at you, but also people believe or think that if you work with a death deity, that makes you a death witch. It does not. Necessarily. What I mean by that is a lot of people will start working with, okay, thank you. I was making sure I didn't want to, like, but yes, exactly. A lot of people are under the inception that if they work with a death deity, that makes them a death witch. It does not. A lot of people do kind of have to be mentored into it. With me, it kind of found me, as in my spiritual awakening was so full of death, it's not even funny, like firsthand. And I'm a psychopump. I help spirits, not all the time, but I basically can summon death, and help that spirit pass on. From someone who has complex PTSD and bipolar manic depressive, in other words, I know the lowest of lows, changes you. Like, it scars your soul. It leaves a taste in your mouth that will linger and linger. It took me about a full week to fully regain from that. Um, but and again, there are different types of death witches. There are people that specifically only help other spirits pass on. Um, there are multiple other things to it, but the reason that I say I'm a death witch, for one, I'm a psychopomp. But I use spirits in my practice. I talk to spirits every single day. I use bones. I connect with those animals, the essence, the spirits of said animals. And there are a lot of things that if you join my class when I have it, that will be seen or showed in that video, that there are multiple animal parts that I work with. I just do not plaster that online. Um, but yeah, working with a death deity doesn't make you a death witch. And death witch is basically a necromancer. It's a newer term for necromancy due to the fact that Hollywood and fiction has basically turned it into this dark thing. And there are some people that are full-blown, good morning, that are full-blown necromancers. And my definition of a necromancer, or what my definition of a necromancer used to be, is people that would summon spirits against their will and basically make them do things. Now, with being a death witch, you can also, especially in Southern Conjure, because that's one of the distinctions, Southern Conjure, we use spirits in our work all the time. We conjure them, conjuration. Um, and it also goes into a very, very interesting conversation of familiars. No, I'm not talking about pets. Depending on your research, original witches' familiars were not actual animals. They disguised themselves as animals, but they were actual spirits that became their familiars, that helped them out. Um, Now, before you go trying to connect to said spirit, you need to make sure you can understand and interpret the energies of the spirit you're messing with, because there are a lot of tricksters. Same with deity work. If you start working with a deity, you need to vent them. You need to vet them. In other words, you need to make sure the deity you're working with is actually who they say they are. All right, one last shuffle. Universe, what animals can we learn from today? And yes, people, I know, I'm sweating. It's hot as fuck in here, and this light's not making anything better. Alright. The first one. Ooh. The buffalo. Hold on, I gotta get my book. Ah! Here it is. So, the buffalo is the first one. Let's see what the buffaloes... Buffalo. All right. Grounded yet heavenly. Practical yet spiritual. The hooves of the mighty buffalo are grounded in the earth, yet its heart and mind race towards the heaven. The buffalo sees challenges, hardships, or a bump in the road as an opportunity for upliftment. Therefore, the buffalo does not fear death, illness, or misfortune. Its gentle eyes look to the road ahead, trusting every turn. May we all experience this exclusive yet life-changing bliss from time to time, and may we allow this card to remind us that life is a precious gift. When in balance, trusting, pure, and presence. When out of balance, restless, lack of gratitude, and to bring into balance prayer and a word that I don't use in my practice because it's whitewashed. Basically energy centers. All right, let's see what the second one is. Ooh, the lunar moth. Oh, I love that. One day this will become a tattoo. The moth, not that exact card. All right, come on. Ah, hawk. Ah, here we go. Ooh, impulsive, hasty, and wishful. We have the moth. The moth is sure the grass is greener on the other side. No, the fuck it is not. The grass is not always greener on the other side. Greener on the other side. Moth energy is at play when we're attracted to easy solutions or anything shiny and new. Are you sure you're not a raccoon or a magpie? Anyways, this this can lead to unfinished projects, disappointment, or burnouts. It is helpful to remind moth personalities that life is complex no matter the illusion. No one is an expert from the trials and tribulations of the great journey. Practice seeing life as an infinite mystery rather than wishing it was easier or different. When in balance, wisdom, ideology, jittery, finish a project. So basically, either A, you need to finish that project that you started. B, you need to kind of slow down and realize that, like, we're going to have bumps in the road. That is part of life. That's always part of life. And another thing with this, instead of focusing on going forward, sometimes we need to stop and look back and see all the shit that we've actually overcome that we did not think we were going to come. It's very weird that they picked that definition for the lunar moth. Because the lunar moth, it's a very sad, delicate story. Like, they're born without a mouth. If I'm talking about the right moth. So they literally only breed, or live to breed, and then eventually die. Very sad, but part of life. Ooh, we have the element. The elephant. We have the elephant, which is fire. The hyena. No, we need the elephant, sir. Sir. Lizard, tarantula, camel, cheetah, tiger, lion, elephant. Unstoppable and wise. The elephant is arguably the most auspicious figure in the deck. Like Ganesh, the elephant represents immense wisdom as well as good fortune. It is said that the great elephant is the destroyer of obstacles, so if this card appears when you feel stuck, rest assured that the path will soon become clear. To aid to the mystery, the elephant is also known to create obstacles in order to steer us in the right direction. Trust the gentle noble creature. It illuminates the way with the light of self-knowledge. So in other words, some of the blockages that we've all been experiencing are about to be cleared out. And the only thing I have to say to that is buckle up and hold on. I actually like these cards. I need to start reading them more. So yeah. Also, if you see a buffalo, a lunar moth, or an elephant today, that is your sign that these cards were for you. Ooh, I realized I could do something else with these cards. Alright, make sure. Okay. But yeah, I wanted to... The problem with the freaking online thing is everybody's going to be an authentic, like, I'm right and you're wrong, da-da-da-da. No, screw that shit. Experiment in your practice. Not with spirits, necessarily, but, experience. Remember that we're all uniquely different, which means how one person receives spirit does not mean the other person is going to receive spirit the same way. And I always say, and I will die on this hill, you do not need another person to connect you to your spirit guides, your ancestors, or even a deity. None of those energies are going to send you a message that your own brain cannot comprehend. Okay? Now, with that, do you need to focus on trying to, because the conversation was started yesterday of, like, how do you know you're cursed and hexed and things like that? There are over a million ways. The first way to distinguish between that is to learn your own body, as in if you have anxiety, if you have depression, if you have migraines, if you have nightmares, learn what is normal for you, and then eventually you'll be able to realize, oh, well, this is no longer my anxiety, this is something else that's been thrown my way. Well, this is another confirmation that change is coming. Oh, I love that. I love when spirit validates other people too, or confirms other things through me or other people. Like my partner, the amount of times that I have looked at that motherfucker and I'm like, no offense, I love you to death, but shut the fuck up. And he'll look at me and he's like, what the fuck did I just do? And I'm like, you're telling me things that spirit has been telling me for the past 3 days. So apparently I ignored them and now you're telling it to me too. I love our conversations. I hope I can find... There is going to be a podcast release. I was supposed to do an interview with Seba yesterday, but I was not feeling it, and y'all know me. I'm not going to do something unless I'm 100%. That will be happening very soon. With that, though, I have a two-part podcast that me and my partner did after hours. It's going to be my first bonus episode. I'm just really fucking nervous about posting it because obviously it was after hours. But the conversation was really, really good and cool. But I'm still nervous to post it, and I have to find it. It was supposed to be in my podcast, but it's not. It's not where it was supposed to be. So if I find that today, I will be posting it. I will. I started going live yesterday. I went live on TikTok for like 30 minutes. I will still be doing that. Um, Multiple changes are also going to come. My services in the 2 week break that I took, I realized that, yeah, I understand my own worth when it comes to the magic and the things that I can do, but at the same time, the world is going up around us, so my prices will be lowering very soon. Literally, I'll be making the advertisement for it today. Spell work and stuff like that. The most expensive thing that I will still have, though, will be the honey. And that are the honey jars, the personal honey jars, just because honey is expensive. Um, Although I did find it at Family Dollar for like $2, so that's good. Um, I am doing the sale on my Oracle readings. $10 via email gets you a full reading. And I do 5 readings per day, and I read Oracle cards. That is going to be going on this entire week, all the way until the 18th, and then I'll probably do another one when it comes to the new moon. Um, and honey jar wise, the last 2 custom honey jars that I've done are I did one for an author. I am constantly getting updated with it, and it's amazing of how well that honey jar is doing. Um, and I've had some people ask me, well, can you do a tutorial on them? No. Just because I've not been able to figure out, you got to be careful with cheap honey. It's usually a mix of honey and something. Cornstarch. That I checked, it's honey, but it's also clove honey. And then I have 2 other people that have actually sent me honey, and I've got to talk to them to see if I can get some. And then I know somebody down here in Florida who also, their parents raise honey, so I've got to get some more of that as well. Um, but yeah, I realized that with the corn syrup. That was one of the issues that I've been having of actually getting honey. Although, interesting fact, you can also use corn syrup in certain things too. I just learned that. Hold that thought. But yeah. Also, this full moon is supposed to be a new moon, which is weird because I was always told, I mean, a super moon. But we've been having those more frequently, so that's going to be interesting. There are also going to be a couple of planets aligned up during the full moon. So look into planetary magic. That's going to be a lot of things that you can add extra boost to it. Also, I figured out how to get fucking bones, y'all. And this is an experiment that I did. So the last blood moon eclipse that we had, I actually used a spaghetti jar, and just got some tap water and I infused it, right? Well, it's sitting directly next to my bed, wrapped up in some pentagram fabric to make sure no light hits it. I tested something last night. Yesterday was kind of a very low bones day, no energy day. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to test this. And I've done it before. And I forgot about it. I drank a sip, like just a sip of that water right before I went to sleep. I woke up today, 7 o'clock, right on the dot before any alarms went off. And I was like, holy shit, good morning. I am here. I have bones and I have energy. So the next time we have an eclipse, try to get some of that water or just use solar water and tap into the essence of the sun and see if it helps. Obviously, for someone who's disabled, I'm going to have bones day and no bones day, obviously, but today's a really good day. So I'm going to be pumping out content as much as possible on my TikTok. I've just been doing a lot of witchy tips. And we're going to see where that goes. But yeah, I'm trying to mentally think over to make sure I went over all the things that I did. And the live that I did, and I'll leave this here too. To anybody who's watching now or replays it, what is something that you would like to see from my personal craft that I've never shared before? Obviously, there are going to be limitations behind that, but I do want to actually get more comfortable with sharing personal things that I do in my practice, and I need some ideas for videos. I did get some yesterday in the live that I did, um, which is going to be incredible. But yeah, I'm curious to know what y'all would like to see. Um, where the fuck did my lighter go? All right. Well, apparently I'm not smoking a cigarette. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for today. I do like kind of keeping these a little short just because background music and everything like that. Also, we did break 600. Holy shit. We're at 610, I believe. And we're at 200, and this will be 56 videos that I have. Um, so yeah, I think that kind of covers it. I will be I will be messaging a few people today. I have an idea for an episode, but I don't know if it's feasible. Of like 4 practitioners that I would love to be able to get together to have an actual conversation. So that's going to be in the works. I'm going to message people, like I said, to see if I can set some dates. The way that it is looking right now, where did my planner go? The way that it is looking right now, as long as there are no bumps in the road, between the 20th and the 27th. Yeah, okay, I said that right. The week of the 20th through the 30th will probably be when I hold my classes. I would love to help with that. You were actually one of the people that I was thinking about. And this was my partner's idea, believe it or not. But those are the 2 weeks that I'm going to do a class. Hopefully, I'll do a class 1 week, and then the second one will be another class. And then depending on how those go, if I'll actually constantly do them. Like I said before, I do have an idea of how, even if you can't like actually do it, and or financially, if you can't, there's still going to be a way that you're going to be able to experience it as well. I'm just nervous about the slots because I do not want me doing my first class with 100 people in it. No. So I'm thinking of like 20, maybe 30 spots. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna work out all the details today. I actually did make cliff notes or whatever the hell it's called to where during the class I'll actually be able to keep track of everything and not go off onto a complete ramble. Um, but yeah, until then, that's gonna be the live today. Like I said, I'll probably go live on TikTok around 2:30, 3 o'clock. The AC is gonna be on, but it will be slightly louder because today it's just a fan. Um, but yeah, that's going to be it today. Thank y'all so much for liking, subscribing, commenting, obviously. And thank y'all so much for the subscription. Like I said, the website, Sit for a Soak or Soap. The website that I got the phone thing from and the soap is posted on the community part with the website and everything like that. They really do have great prices. Their soaps are fucking amazing. And they have, I believe they still have some of the pop socket things to go in the back of your phones. But yeah, until then, I will talk to y'all later, whether that's in the Discord. Oh yeah, anybody who replays this, the link tree listed below also has the Discord. You should totally come join it. It's an amazing fucking community. And then everything else that I do, podcast, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all of that, Linktree. If you would like to book a reading with me or have a magical consultation about spell work or anything like that, shoot me an email at firelotusthewitch@gmail.com and I'll respond when I can. If you do get a reading from me, most of the time I like to do my readings the next day around 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, the sale is going to go all the way until the 18th. If you want to go ahead and like book a spot with me for an advanced date, let me know. And yeah, until then, I will talk to y'all later. Peace.